We take a look at the best marks since the 1st of December. And you see where the Pacers are. Like the Bucks, kind of forgotten before the season. It was supposed to be the Celtics and the Sixers and maybe Toronto. But what about what these two in Indiana and Nate McMillan have done? And what about what it would mean after Wednesday night? Tough moment early. Oladipo, second quarter. Watch here.
Hey.
Right knee. You're going to take a look at a couple of replays.
Just gave out.
When there's no contact, he gets diagnosed serious right knee injury. Surgery expected. Reports are he will be out for the season. That is not anything that's been officially announced yet. MRI set for Thursday, but no contact immediately, Smitty, right, Ryan? You guys look at it as athletes, you know that's a big problem.
Yeah, and you know some players, and been watching Oladipo. When you start having him waving for the trainers to come, and there's no movement, and players, come over to try to help you up, and he doesn't want you to help him up, it's probably serious.
He's got such a strong will that you could see they're obviously trying to stay positive. Going to be difficult. We'll hear from the Pacers after the game. Let's talk about what went on during the game. Thaddeus Young, often speaking of forgotten for what he does in terms of culture and core with this team, lead 4. Raps, though, under a minute to go. Danny Green, he was part of that trade too.
Yes, indeed. And you see him knocking down clutch shots for them, and he's definitely a 3-and-D guy.
Bogdanovich, Thaddeus, flotation device. Mouse in the house, Lowry. Young at 23 and 15. Lead 3. Last chance for Toronto. They're down 3. Danny Green.
Oh, he was
got
open.
The look.
Give him the ball.
That's what I'm saying, right? I know he misses that shot, but the pass was
gosh.
count too late.
Got a little tight, man.
Yes.
Oh, God.
You shooters.
I'm just saying, you got to get it to him a little quicker. He was open 2 steps before he got it.
Indiana wins their 32nd game of the year. That's the good news. But the loss way bigger than anything in the standings in terms of Oladipo.
Watching, our best player go down, but not just because he's our best player, because he's one of the best people to be around. And I mean, just his personality, how positive he is, and you just hate to see that happen to him. You don't want that to happen to anybody, but you just hate to see that happen to him, and it just sucks right now.
That kid has a beautiful spirit about him, and he is probably one, or if not, the most positive guy on this team. And he has always been one that try to lift his team and lift us. We got to lift him now, and we got to support him now, and in this time.
Very difficult. Obviously, a lot of love around the association for Victor Oladipo. LeBron, with his prayers via Twitter. Ironically, when you think about a guy not only who understands his injury, traded for each other, prayers up from PG-13. Ryan, when you sit there on the outside, and I often say this when this happens, it doesn't matter if it's the last guy on the bench in any sport or a great player. It always is a bigger story when it is a great player. You don't want to see anybody get hurt. But to see what this guy's done with his career and how he's maximized what the Pacers have given him, which is basically the keys, go ahead and drive this thing, it makes it even tougher to watch what happened tonight.
When I tell you nobody expected Victor Oladipo to have the success nobody could have seen this coming after that year in OKC. Then the way they take LeBron and company and the Cavaliers to a Game 7 and come back rolling the next season to where you looked at that playoff picture, Smitty, and you didn't count them out, and you really started to cheer for Oladipo and believe in what's going on there. So, I mean, your heart just has to go out. This is one of the real unfortunate moments in parts of sports.
For me, Ryan and Casey, what I love about it, you talked about it, was the best player as a guy, the 15th player. You had Darren Collison talking about his character. You had Nate McMillan saying this is one of the most positive guys on our team. This is from your best player. And then we transitioned to his work on the court, which has been, unbelievable in this last 2 or 3 years. I looked at his stat. He's second in clutch moments. I'm not a big analytical guy, but clutch moments mean when it's winning time. He's averaging about 5 points in clutch moments and shooting an absurd 63%. So this is when you really get it done. I look at guys in clutch moments and their playoff numbers, and Victor Oladipo
Smitty, he wasn't a shooter. He wasn't a shooter.
Nope.
And the dude worked his way into becoming a shooter, and his game opened up.
You have to, obviously, all of our prayers with Victor Oladipo, and I think now the Pacers will try and rally around something Harden after this great performance.
You know, I wanted to be aggressive tonight like I've been this entire season. And, you know, I'm just happy we came away with the win. Like, every game isn't going to be perfect. Some nights we're going to shoot the ball great. Some we aren't. But as a team, we got to be able to fight and consistently have our defense on pace. And tonight there were some ups and downs. But, like you said, with the absences with those guys, wins are all that matters.
Is it special for you to tie the opponent's record here at Madison Square Garden for scoring?
Yeah, this is one of the historical buildings in a sport that we have. Obviously, the fans are one of the best that we have in this league, and so it's pretty cool to come out here and just put on a show for them.
At this point in the season, what do you need to work on as a team to move up?
We have to get healthy. That's the most important thing. We get healthy and we'll move forward from there. But obviously, Clint is out a little bit longer, but Chris will be back very soon. And as long as we can get healthy and catch a rhythm, everything else will be great.
When you raised your arms after the final dunk, was it over just finally securing the win?
Yeah, for sure. We let the game slip away 3 times. And we've seen that we've been allowing that to happen these last few games. And when we have opportunities to close games out, we have to do it. You know, the mental mistakes, we weren't focused, and we give them opportunities, give them hope, at the end of the game.
When you were asked yesterday about a garden moment, will this do?
Yeah.
You guys just, James, you just finished this one. We've got Toronto coming up next.
Big time.
What do you think about that match?
Big time. I mean, every game for us, we're down players, so every game for us is a big time game. Like, we're not going to overlook the Knicks. We're not going to overlook the Toronto Raptors. Obviously, we know there's a difference, but for us, we have to be focused, for every single game and every opponent.
Got a lot of landmarks. What about a career high tonight?
In the Garden, I'll take it.
Does it mean more to
We need to make a run or
Yeah.
go ahead, it seemed like. I mean, did you have to cut short your rest at all tonight?
It's been happening, but, we're limited guys, and so whatever I have to do to try to win games, I'll do it. And Coach knows that.
James, when you score 61, and on a night like this when you can get to the line 25 times, how much pride do you take in the fact that you can win games that way as opposed to just hitting outside shots?
There's multiple games. There's a lot of ways you can win games. You could be hot one game. You could not be hot. Some games you got to rely on your defense. Some games you got to slow it down a little bit more. But the shots that we love to take in our offense, we'll take them every single game. Obviously, all of them don't go in. So you got to find other ways to win games. And when we needed to get stops, we did that.
Can you tell us about Mike D'Antoni's coaching style and what you learned from him?
I mean, honestly, playing for Coach, he gives, not only myself, but just the entire team a lot of freedom. Like, he doesn't really yell. He just lets you go out there and play. All you have to do is go out there and do your job. Play extremely hard and play, within your role. And that's all that matters. I know a lot of coaches have, strict rules and, players aren't allowed to do certain things on the court, but he just lets you go out there and play free. And that's the one thing I love about him. He's a real players coach.
James, I know it's a team game, but that Toronto game, what's it like to go up against Kawhi?
I mean, it's not even just Kawhi. Toronto has a really, really good team. They're probably one of the deepest teams we have in this league, and so obviously Kawhi is a catalyst, but Kyle Lowry, he's healthy. Siakam is playing very, very well. Serge, their entire team, you go down the list, and anybody on their team can get it going. So it's going to be a tough challenge for us.
Did you tune into the crowd at all? Like, they would cheer you on some plays and then boo you when you go to the line. It was kind of, they couldn't figure out.
They can figure out what they wanted to do, but I appreciate them though, honestly. Like tonight they kept me going and made the game exciting for me.
Do you see that everywhere you go? Conflicted fans?
No, you don't. You don't. That's why this place is special. I'm just happy,
Because they appreciate good basketball.
Exactly. And I'm just happy I can give them a 61. Appreciate it, y'all.
Thank you.
James, referencing exactly we were just talking about what growing up a Knicks fan, you notice it's odd that way because they are so passionate, but even at times, not maybe in the playoffs, when Jordan during all those battles is going up, there is like a respect level that's kind of weird. Like they can't figure out whether or not they love somebody or they hate somebody. But James Harden clearly was doing what he could to utilize that energy. That last play, look, that steal, come on.
Smitty, this is the playground, though.
Yes.
New York, it's at the plate where, like, your game earns that respect, and that's what you have from the crowd in the Garden. So as a Knicks player, you probably hate it when they're cheering for the other team, but it's a playground type of who has it, who doesn't. You know, you're on the biggest stage of basketball. That's what you get in New York. And then a guy like Harden, like he literally said, this was fueling me. It was fueling me. They kept me going. And then you go for 62 and actually play defense on the other side. That's the Garden.
You know, here's the thing, too. We were talking about this, and I think this is important to bring up. Clearly, what James is doing may be another MVP, Smitty. It's unbelievable. We're talking about, well, is he the greatest, this, that, whatever. Have we forgotten that the season started, it was, wait, if Chris Paul wasn't hurt last year, the Rockets maybe beat the Warriors. Okay, they lost some defense. We understand that, not discounting it. Where are they now? Because we're seeing him drag everyone in the back and go. When CP3 and Capella get back, and they get towards the playoffs, what kind of Rockets are we looking at now?
Well, we're looking at a Rockets team right now should be built for the playoffs. And I think the one thing is you go through what they did last year and they lost. And, yes, it's a big loss when you lose Luke Mute and Trevor Ariza. But I look at it right now is you've been through adversity last year in Game 7. You've been through adversity with no Capella, no Eric Gordon this year, and no Chris Paul. It comes down, James Harden will not be scoring 60 every night in the playoffs. Now can we have somebody step up, make those plays off the basketball when they decide to double James, when they play good defense, when he's out of the lineup? Because there's going to be times he's not going to be able to play 48 minutes. You're going to have some other guys to step up, and that's where Chris Paul will come and play to make those other plays for guys.
I think about Russell Westbrook, think about AI during his day, and there were a lot of others, but great offensive players who at times the comment was, well, they're trying to take too much upon themselves. They have to find a way to divvy it out more. We know what he can do with Capella, what CP3 can do last year. A lot of dribbles, but there were other guys making shots. How does this version of Harden now tone it down when these guys come back, considering the fact they're winning games the way he's playing?
See, the thing that people don't appreciate about James is that he plays winning basketball. And how? He's willing to go out and get you 20 assists if you sag off all night long, or if you throw a double team or you play a traditional coverage in the pick and roll. He's throwing that thing up to Capella time and time again. What do I mean by traditional coverage? Playing a drop coverage with your big, and now James is baiting you, and you got to pick your poison. He's either shooting the layup or he's throwing it up to Capella. He'll hit that corner skip time and time again. That's why they're playing winning basketball. You see guys like Gary Clark, James Ennis, Gerald Green knocking down corner threes. Now they are going to get tested even more with Chris Paul out. Obviously, Gordon is back to help. You saw it against the Lakers. The Lakers threw a junk defense out. They said, P.J. Tucker, go get 20. Okay, James Ennis, go get 20 points and see if you guys beat us. And the Lakers were up big. Philadelphia has success with it. And you're going to see teams that actually have the personnel starting to wear James down. And a lot of teams with younger defenders or don't have enough, because you got, Smitty, you know it, you got to have 2 and 3, 3 and 4 defenders to actually guard them. They can't get physical with him. You got a young team like the Knicks, they don't know how to guard him without getting whistled for a foul. But if you're a Philadelphia, as you brought up earlier, we were talking about a Corey Brewer or a guy that's long and rangy you can throw on him. That's going to start to wear down James. But for the regular season, I just don't see it being a problem.
You know, for me, is you always had great players. In my era with Michael Jordan. But the one thing you look at is you see their numbers. And the first thing I did when we weren't playing against Michael is go to the other guys. And that's when you start to see the Scottie Pippen with 22 points, 11 rebounds, 4 steals. It's not to 50. It's not to 40.
Didn't need it.
He didn't need it. But that's where you start to see, wow, this team is built more than just their superstar. And like tonight, Eric Gordon having 20, that's huge. You can get 20 points on a guy who had 38 attempts from the field, 25 attempts on the free throw line, and you can still come up with 20. That's showing you where these other guys are going to be needed to win basketball games and ultimately to win a championship.
That's why it's scary watching the duo of George and Westbrook right now, right? Either one could take over the game and the other one could take over the game at the same time. Nobody taking over our game like Ryan Hollins was.